Hello, welcome back to another episode of my podcast. This is kind of a late upload, but this episode is going to be more like a philosophy episode because more or less the same thing has been happening. The war in Iran is still going on, prices are still falling, and it doesn't seem like it's going to come to an end soon. It doesn't seem like there's a timeline to any of this, really. But I just wanted to kind of get a philosophy episode going because I don't know. I've just been really thinking a lot about things and just kind of like thinking about my actions and how they relate to what I'm doing and why I'm kind of in the place that I am. And I don't know if I've kind of gone over this maybe in a previous video, but how fear just really just shifts us and changes us to be a person that we don't want to be. For example, me, I get fearful of not doing good in classes or not 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 being able to put my best foot forward and my teacher understanding me when I write something. So it feels like it builds this thing up in my head where I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this, or I'm just going to leave it to the last minute because it, I'm scared of it. But then that ends up backfiring because the amount of time I spent stressing over something, I could have just been doing it the first place and gotten over it and realized that really if it's just the amount of depending on the amount of time I put into it, uh, it could have been a lot easier and it could have been simpler from the start. And I feel like that doesn't just go for school, but kind of the relationships we have. That was kind of a remix there, but that's kind of a little side part. But it also goes to the relationships we have. Like we we're if we're being fearful of kind of disrespecting somebody, then it doesn't allow us to be our authentic self. And then people end up perceiving us a different way. And then I feel at that point, it's just a lot harder to get your point across when people already have this perception of you where, oh, okay, I don't know if that mess with that. I was just gonna try to do something, but whatever. Um, how that messes with the perception people have of you, where you were trying to be a kind person because you're just not comfortable with those people and you just don't know them, and then they end up perceiving you this way where it's like, oh, you must not care or understand something. And I feel like I feel like it's a uh like a two-way street where your perception of somebody might be this one way, but I feel like you have to be open towards other people because once somebody gets comfortable with you and you're able to see them for who they are, um, you realize your perceptions were a lot different. And I don't know, I feel like that goes for a lot of things too, because it could be like you have this perception of something, but once you get closer to it, it makes it's a lot different than you expected. And I know that's pretty like, it may seem like an obvious thing, but it's just really hard to not be fearful and just not be a coward of your own mind, your own, how would I say this, your own perceptions and just your own experiences, and kind of based off what you've gone through in your life. It feels like you've been taught this one way where it feels that everything you do is wrong, or everything you do there's a problem with it. So when you get with other people who don't have that experience with you, you're just used to it. So it becomes a lot harder to get comfortable with people when you already have this thought in the back of your mind where people just get annoyed with you because, like, example for me, I've said this before, but like I have ADHD, and it's sometimes it's hard to control my impulses. So I think it makes it a lot worse when I'm with newer people because I'm trying to control those impulses. And like my family, like they love me and they care for me. It's just sometimes it's hard to deal with them when, or it's hard when they're stressed out and then I'm just bouncing off the walls, or I didn't take my meds that day, or my meds started to wear off, and it's just those thoughts are always in the back of your head, and just I don't know. It just really feels like being fearful or just being a coward prevents you from doing so many things, and just being open to new experiences is it's a hard thing, but once you learn to do that, it's a lot easier. Like recently, I've been getting a lot of help with like figuring out who I am and just like why I do the things I do. And I sometimes when it's like with the subject, I'm taking this coding class and I'm doing okay in it. I didn't do too good on the final, but I'm not really putting as much effort as I should be in this class. I'm like putting in these weekly quizzes I try, but then the midterm is just like I didn't put as much effort in as I needed to. But it's also because I just had a terrible week when that midterm happened, and, and I just couldn't put as much time as I needed to. But just how, with the help I've been getting, I've just been able to put more effort into the things that I actually care about, or realizing that that's my priority right now. That school is my priority, and and just kind of looking internally with myself to see, oh, this is more important than this, and it's hard to say no with my friends if I want to play video games with them or just talk to them, but or at least do something active like going to the gym or golfing or practicing golf, um, and realizing those are my priorities. And like what's recently been helping me is like I set like what time I'm gonna start work, and it's like at whatever time this is, I'm gonna start doing my work no matter what, no matter if I don't like it, or I'll be okay with it. Like I'll have time to work on those things, and in that time that I'm working at things, I can start off slow and then build my way up, and then once I'm starting to get some um what's the word? Once I get some once the ball starts rolling, I was blanking on that, but once the ball starts rolling, it's really kind of hard for me to stop. And I feel like what's also been helping me is to like balance not just doing my schoolwork straight, mm, or and giving myself time to get a break. Is I've been like timing myself from I'm working. So say like recently I've just been doing every 25 minutes. So for I'll work for 25 minutes and take a break for 10 minutes, and it feels like it refreshes me, and then in that 10 minutes I'm taking a break, it allows me to calm myself down. And like if I'm getting stressed out and I'm working at a problem that I don't really understand, or I'm studying something and my head starts to get jumbled, it gives me time to take a step back, get a fresh pair of eyes, and trying to kind of just be a better version of myself, where I'm able to work on these things and not think about how long I'm working on it and get stressed because I'm spending too much time on it. Because in those 10 minutes where I give myself a break, I'm able to calm myself down and be like, oh, once I finish this up, what else am I supposed to do? There's still going to be time between me trying to go to the gym and like I could just leave to the gym immediately because I've had these breaks already, and it just makes it a lot easier to transition between things. If I want to get lunch or something, when I get my lunch, then it's just a lot easier to get back into what I need to be doing because I say out this time I'm gonna start working instead of just keep procrastinating that, oh, I'll do it later. And I think another thing that I've recently been just noticing with myself is like how I like talk to myself in my head. Like if I start to get stressed out and um or I start to get stressed out and it's just like, oh, I don't want to do this. I like when I say it out loud, it just sounds like really bad and negative about myself. But I start to give myself some better lighting. Okay, but I was saying, um, okay, yeah, that's better. But I was saying, like once I start to get those moments where I'm stressed out and it's just like, oh, I don't want to do this. Like I say to myself, like, oh, I'm stupid or I'm just being dumb and I'm just being weak and just all these other things. Like once I say it out loud, it makes it sounds really harsh and like I wouldn't want anybody to talk to me like that. So why am I talking to myself like that? And just trying to be more patient with myself because I'm patient. I try to be patient or as patient as I can with other people. Um, and so I just been trying to work at that and just like the way that I'm talking to myself, it's like I don't I don't like it and it's like it makes things easier, but it it's like it's just not a good thing. And another thing I have two more things I want to talk about. Um, well, hopefully I can remember the second thing, but how I've how being comfortable can be such a negative thing. Um, Recently I feel like I've been comfortable in this situation with these people and or when I was in like middle school I would be friends with these people, but it was only because I had a class with them and I didn't really feel comfortable with them, and but I never really left, and I just kept going back to these kids in like middle school where I just didn't know what else to do in that class, and realizing like how we can get comfortable in these situations even if it's not our intent, and being fearful to leave that situation just because we're comfortable, and being comfortable is it can be a good and a bad thing. Like you're comfortable in when you're taking your exams, like it's because you prepared, but if you get comfortable in a bad situation, it can lead to so many things where you're just being a coward and you just don't want to get out of that situation because it's you feel comfortable in it because you know it, and that is a good situation. And I'm just gonna say one more final thing, but oh, this is less about about a psychology thing, but um, kind of something I saw recently with like day trading and that whole space. So last semester, in my fall semester of of my sophomore year, technically, I was part of this club. It was like the finance and accounting club, and in that club we got to meet with professionals who were in just the business field. Like I met with, like I think I previously stated this, but we got to meet with one guy from J.P. Morgan and this lady that is like the head financial advisor at Netflix, or I don't remember exactly what her title was, but I do know she worked at Netflix and she was in like the business side of it and less about the tech side. And whenever there was in that club, whenever there was a speaker who was in the finance world and he was kind of more about like investing and just kind of that whole sphere of life, um, people would ask questions about like they would like pretend they have this friend, but the whole time it was just them. Where they're like, "Oh, I have this friend who's into day trading," and he was asking about your opinion about things, and they would like these guys that were they're investment bankers and like just kind of that sphere. They would always say like, "Oh, yeah, day trading is a good thing," like, but what I really would do is have my money in a index and just having long term investments. And I always was at first I thought like that was a joke because I just didn't really understand it why they were telling them to have these long term investments. I knew that long term investments were good, but I couldn't really fully understand why they were trying to get people away from day trading. And I watched this video by Amon Trading, and it was just this video about this day trader named TJR, and they were kind of like exposing him about like how he's just a fraud and how he lied to his fans about the amount of money he's made. And he brought up this point about how most of the time day traders, it's if you're not like a Wall Street banker or investment banker, even then those guys they fail to outperform the S&P 500. And seeing how well, if you were to have a long-term investment, sorry, I gotta scratch my foot. Seeing how if you were to have a long-term investment, how those trades that you're placing, how they would actually get outperformed by just the S&P 500 just doing its thing, or whatever individual stock it is. Like it's really hard to beat out Wall Street or just how analysts value these things. It's really hard, and I just never fully grasped it until this video and realizing how having long term investments is so much better than these short term gains that you'll get. And I feel like we live in this society where now people are gonna okay, how we live now where people just want short term gains, while if they were to have their money long term, it would be valued way more. And that's kind of my last point. I just want to say thank you guys and please continue to watch.